vampires and deadly things and all of that in our own little movie review of Black Widow, the latest offering from Marvel.
And for once, I actually can comment because I have watched it. So.
You did watch it. It's so funny because literally we were sitting the other day and we got a little friend group on WhatsApp, and Mark announced to all of us that the Suicide Squad was available for those that wanted to try get a hand on it, download a copy or whatever it was. I asked about Black Widow and he's like, oh yeah, no, that's been available too because it was released by Disney Plus streaming and all of that. And lo and behold, out of all the recommendations and chatter, 1 out of 2, I suppose, isn't bad for you to have watched and seen.
Yeah, another one that I've got like on my to-do list, I've heard really good things about is Loki, the series.
Also on my to-do list, I was waiting for it to finish so I could get the whole thing. I think it is finished.
Yeah, it is finished now because apparently it actually sets up the next big Marvel.
Yes.
Big bad, so like in a massive way. So
and it's already everyone's talking that it's going to be Kang the Conqueror. So I'm looking forward to that. The way they're doing it is kind of with the comics. I kind of had to catch up on my Kang and watch.
Yeah, no comment. That's Black Widow, something I've actually watched.
Yes, there we go. What was your overall feel? Like and dislike? Because that's something I don't think we actually covered in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, we should do like a star rating that we give it or something like that. But I'm going to steal the wise words of Warren, and like it's something you said, but I was whelmed. It was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it didn't blow my mind.
Okay.
Where someone like Kira really enjoyed it. So, I mean, that might just be a bit of an outside perspective or whatever. I'm glad that they gave her, like, you know, after passing away and stuff, and giving her own story, and that back thing of like what her and what's his name always talked about.
Clint Barton.
Yeah, that they always talked about. Man, what's the country called?
Budapest.
Yeah, and they would always, and so they paid that off. And
interesting part about Budapest. Do you know that it's actually 2 cities? There's Buda and Pest. They're separated by a river.
I had no idea.
But they've grown so big now that they've both grown to that dividing river that they just call it Budapest.
Okay.
Useless information for you.
Trivia.
Yes, so you're right. There was a lot of historical context to that thing that they always referenced in every Avengers movie. This is like Budapest. You know, I remember Budapest very differently. So yeah, I'm with you there. Okay. So you were whelmed.
Yeah, and the action scenes were amazing, but I do feel like they lent into that. Like it was just like these mad, over-the-top flying helicopters, like at the last minute. It's cool, but it felt very like Mission Impossible to me, and it felt like they kind of like, you know, look, the comedy was cool. I liked the sister that they've brought in and how she rips off her pose and stuff like that. I thought that was cool. I thought it was done well. So yeah, like, dude, so. Well, maybe is the wrong word. I enjoyed it, but it just didn't blow my mind. And I don't know if it was designed, you know, to there because it's a small sort of like self-contained movie. But the thing is, then something like Deadpool is, but it also blew my mind. It was amazing. Yeah. So,
I think I'm with you. It didn't blow me away, but I really enjoyed it. It's something that I would recommend to anybody to watch. But I would do it more from a good spy action movie, as opposed to a pivotal Marvel movie. And I think also one of the thoughts that I had about it was I feel sorry for it in a way, because it definitely has a certain place in the Marvel timeline leading up to the last Avengers movie. It really does.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate that they did this thing post Avengers Endgame, because the one thing that I felt that it suffered from all the way through the movie, there was a couple moments where they were trying to create tension, like she's fallen out of this window and she's flying down, and you're going, oh my God, how is she going to get out of this? But in the back of your mind, you're going, well, I know she gets out of it because she's in Avengers Endgame.
Exactly,
so you know, in
so the
any
stakes
scene,
kind of get ripped from...
because the movie's firmly set before all the events of Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, and it's just after Captain America's Civil War.
Yeah.
So it's got a distinct place, and because of that, you all through the movie, you know, well, she's going to survive no matter what happens.
I'll be honest, dude, like I've actually it's popped into my head now, the little problem I had, and it's not a major problem, but I just felt like the big bad of the film. I can't remember his name. You know, when Blackwood.
The overall big bad or Taskmaster?
No. The overall big bad.
That spy Russian dude. Yeah. Also, not a memorable name.
And it's just like, you know, Black Widow is like badass and she like, you know, gets there. And then conveniently, this guy has this pheromones that they can't. It just felt like as Deadpool, as Ryan Reynolds would be like, what does he say? He's like,
that's just lazy writing.
Yeah, lazy writing. That's exactly, you stole the words out of my mouth. It just felt like, I don't know, it just, like pheromones, like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. And maybe like other people are okay with it, but I just was like rolled my eyes. And I'm just being honest now. Like, I just felt that it's like, there could have been a way more like darker way that he had, like, I don't know, planted chips in them or something way before
that moment. No. So I get what you're saying. I think personally for me, I do agree with you. I think pheromones, yes or no, but they could have played a lot on. There was this whole thing around how the first generation, her sister, even the chick, the one that Rachel Weisz plays, they were all psychologically programmed, like hectic psychological programming. So for me, it would have made a little bit more sense if it was almost like as they were growing up as kids, they were you got these flashbacks of them in a room, and every time they tried to do something into this picture of him, they would get shocked or like proper pain. So the thought of doing it actually stimulates pain centers in their brain, and it hurts to try and actually physically kill this guy. Something like that would have made a little bit more sense for me. It was easier with the other widows and that because it was quite clear they were properly programmed through chemicals and things like that. But I would have played a little bit more on the psychological thing, and it would have been a better emotional for her to overcome.
Yeah, and almost like she sees him as a father, and it makes it all that more difficult because
to take this person out. Agreed. And the way they did it was a little bit too easy for it. Look, the way they did it was the thing that I liked about how they did that whole final scene. It's very reminiscent of, I don't know if you remember the very first Avengers movie, where she's tied up in that chair and these guys are beating her for information, and it turns out that she's playing this victim and they're divulging things to her.
I remember that,
I found that this was very almost full circle to that, where she's very good at manipulating people in such a way that this guy's divulging. He's telling her this control panel controls all these people. She sees how he logs in. She gathers all that intel in playing this wounded victim. So I thought that was very good. But I agree with you. It would have been better if she had to somehow physically dig deep and break the psychological programming to get to hurt him. Even if every time she hit him, it physically caused her pain, and you saw her
overcome that.
Yes, going with that mantra of what does pain makes you stronger. You know, what hurts you that was what that other older widow kept saying to her, and she said that's how she grew and became who she is, with that mantra. This kind of overcoming this pain makes you stronger.
Because, look, you know, and I'm not trying to like make us like the next movie writers, and I know it's easy for us to like criticize in retrospect, but again, we're just reinforcing, like, to me, that character felt very one-dimensional. I want to rule the world, you know, like kind of thing, you know, and I have like little girls.
Not only that, in the grand scheme of Hydra and all of that were really set up to be way bigger, way more deadly threats. It was kind of like we're trying to impose or insert this as big a threat as Hydra, but you're like, are you?
And that's why, like, I think if they brought in more, like we've been talking about, more complicated emotions, where it was actually physically like it would wreck her to kill him, like, because it's like almost like the only father she knew, even though it was an abusive relationship. Like, and I know it's not her father, I'm just clearing that up, but it's the figure that she would have seen being brainwashed in that camp constantly, you know, the only male figure in all these ladies and stuff, and playing on some kind of like, and again, even like what you said, where like, I think you could have done both, where it emotionally wrecked her, and it physically hurt her at the same time, or whatever. Because also, if this Russian, German dude, I don't know what he is, was so smart, he would have had a contingency plan right from the beginning. And I don't know, it just felt like, I don't know, the pheromone thing. And I just didn't buy it. And comic books are all about buying crazy ideas, but I just didn't buy it. So,
well, look, for me, that's why I recommend it as a very good spy type of thing. Bond, Bourne, Mission Impossibles. It is like that. And on what you were saying earlier, the action scenes, the car chase scenes and stuff, next level. Some of that shit when Taskmaster's coming after them in that city, and the way that the car, I mean, eventually ends up in that subway. I was just like, Jesus, that kind of action sequence and stuff was, I haven't seen stuff like that.
Yeah, I can't fault you. I totally agree there.
Wow,
that
next level.
Sort of like, and I actually do want to, it's just occurred to me now, it's like, I do want to say this, it's like Marvel's set the bar so high, you know, with things like Endgame and stuff, and Winter Soldier, and there's so many good movies. So this is still an awesome film. It's just like, it's like a victim of itself or whatever its franchise, because it's just like these mind-blowing movies that they've created.
Correct.
You know, so, and it's like what I said in one of our previous podcasts, where like, I think it was Volume 5 of Sandman was my least favorite, but it was still amazing. But it was my least favorite of, you know, because the bar is just so high with someone like Neil Gaiman. And I think Marvel have done that the same, you know. So I do think I'm being a bit too hard on the film.
Look, one of the things that I also wanted to say on it was, I don't know if I liked Taskmaster. And for context for everybody, Taskmaster is one of my all-time favorite villainous characters. I have first cameo, I have first appearance, I have a few action figures, but I'm waiting for the right Marvel Legends one, because something about Taskmaster I think is just so cool with his photo reflexes.
The ability to learn,
and he just instantly picks that up. I felt they did that wrong in the movie. Firstly, this idea that he's almost a semi-cyborg and program, I didn't like that. I like this fact that in a world of meta-humans, here's someone who just has this ability. And they could have done it in such a way that due to a certain accident, brain something, that just activated this part of his brain that now photo reflexes. I get the shift that I don't know, I don't want to say too much and reveal a spoiler for people that who Taskmaster actually
I did like that. I was surprised. I was like, oh, okay, it's
it was a nice, it's like, clever, cool. It works in the context of the movie
film,
100%, and I like that. But for me, a little bit too much, like when you see them stick a stick and program in the brain, I was like, no. What I would have done in that scene is where you see Taskmaster in that room and he's watching. And for those that don't know or didn't pick it up, he mimics Captain America, he mimics Hawkeye, Black Panther, that scene on the ship where he does it, the claws, just like Black Panther does. So he's watched all of these people as a direct result of Captain America's Civil War, when all of these guys suddenly duked it out. What I would have done is had that scene, him watching any of them, and then after he's watched them, I would have just had him instantly mimic a certain move. Like if it's Clint with a thing, I would have watched, he does this, he watches it, he picks up the bow and arrow, does the exact same move and fires. That would have said to the audience, holy. He watches and he can suddenly just do. I felt that they lent a little bit heavy on people knowing who Taskmaster is and what he can do. And for those who don't, it's just like a cyborg that you can program, so that's how they're getting around it. And they didn't give the character enough credit for who he is and just how hardcore this guy is. That he fights you once and then suddenly he's going to fight you the way you fight and probably do it better. Or throw in other people to make it even more of a difficult fight. And like the one comic that I've got of him is when he fights Deadpool, and he can't. Deadpool is so random and so goes against his normal flow. He can't pin Deadpool down. He doesn't know how to predict what Deadpool's going to do next because he's so unpredictable and unhinged. So I didn't like that he was a cyborgish-like thing.
No, I agree with you there.
The gripe that I had there, but I did like how you see him use the shield like Cap would, bouncing it off things and stuff, and you go, Jesus, I've only ever seen one person do that. That's hardcore. I liked the use of arrows and the way he just like Clint would, bounces an arrow at the right moment to explode under a car and shit. You go like, okay,
Yeah.
here's a hardcore dude. I just felt like, again, if he's going to fight like all of these people, he should have been a little bit more lean on that, where Natasha, or again, in a perfect world, how I would have potentially done it is right at the end, where she's about to fight, again, her and Taskmaster. That's the kind of moment where I would have had a final cameo from Rogers. Where Steve suddenly, like as they're about to fight, the shield comes out of nowhere. Wah! And there's Steve, and it's like, got your back. And the two of them work towards it or something along those lines. If you don't do that, rather have it right at the end where everyone else escapes and she waits to be captured. That's where I would have had Rogers arrive and go, jump on a motorbike or do whatever, and the two of them, because in Avengers Infinity War, she's with Steve Rogers. You know, they meet Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive or whatever it is inside that thing defending the Vision. I would have had it that's where the two of them found each other and paired up.
Yeah.
Like Rogers was following her around in the back end, the carnage leads him to her, off they go together. I think that would have been a nice way to have continuity in the flow of things, and you didn't really have to have him don the full persona again. He could have just in the suit, jump on and off they go or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just my thought.
It's a cool idea.
That's what, and again, a nice cameo that would have lent itself. People would have lost their minds seeing Steve.
Also, because now you know that he's, I don't know.
It hung up the cap thing, and that's
I don't think I will.
That's the kind of point I was going towards, is that in all of these other movies, there were nice cameos or hints or suggestions. Even in the Ant-Man movie, the dude goes to an Avengers mansion and there's the Falcon to fight Ant-Man. And this was the one movie where this chick is an Avenger and an integral Avenger, and there's no other Avengers that cameo in her movie. Clint's not there, and they tell you straight off him and Ant-Man have been arrested. Okay, that sucks. The only one who's potentially on the run is Steve. And you know the two of them meet up because in Infinity War, they arrive to save the Vision. So for me, it would have just made so much sense and would have lent a lot more credibility or whatever to her movie to have him appear. Also because of the relationship that the two characters had throughout the Marvel Universe. I felt that they missed a step there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I didn't think of that, but now that you said it, I almost can't unsee it. It's going to be a sort of glaring hole. But
that's the only, and it stood out at me because there were so many points where I thought it would have been cool if he was there to just have her back or get her out of the situation or whatever, because the movie, it ends and then there's this one post-credit scene where she just arrives and this guy's organized a jet for her and how did you escape? How did you... It would have been much better than rather than her actually get caught. Rogers is there to give her a quick one out and the two of them escape together. And then they go to try and free...
Yeah, and now that you're saying that, I mean, there could have been a nod from, because of the sister and all of them, the family always give her a hard time about being an Avenger. And like it would have been like that reaffirmation, like, oh, they actually are your family. They actually do have your back.
And like I say...
And winning them over,
They're all there. She has to take on Taskmaster one last time, and just before out comes the shield and just lands, and he's just like, "Hi, got your back." Yes, now Taskmaster.
I can do this all day.
Something like that, where he has to help her fight and take out Taskmaster. And just Rogers going in, then suddenly Taskmaster uses one of his moves on him. Would have been like, holy cow! And she's like, didn't give you that heads up. There could have been a humorous moment there where he realizes, oh, Jesus, this thing can do what I do. It was just a misstep for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I kind of got the sense that the right context, the right everything for the story, he would have come back for that.
No, for sure.
My gut tells me that anyway.
Definitely.
But, yeah.
So I've actually got like a new thing to introduce.
Yes.
I just don't know whether to do it 5 stars or 10 stars that we do our ratings.
5 is... 10 gives you more room for error.
Okay.
Or more leeway. 5 is probably 3 would be neutral, like whelmed. 4 would be I enjoyed, go out and watch it. 5 is my mind was blown. It's one of those definitive. 2 is a bit underwhelmed, and 1 is I hated
terrible,
it, kind of like
Suicide Squad 1.
Exactly, or my interpretation of Wonder Woman 2. Wonder Woman 84. Because I think I firmly slated that thing.
No, you did.
Yeah, for me, I would give this a 4.
Yeah, I think I'm also comfortable going with a 4. 4 I'm happy with. Because also you've actually like, I don't know, convinced me of a few things that I like, you know, I might not have realized at first, but it's kind of, because I also did watch it a while ago. So, but yeah, no, like I said, I just keep reminding myself how high Marvel set the bar, and I'm trying to like wipe that away.
Exactly, and you're right. For me, it was, I put it in a similar bracket to like Ant-Man and Wasp. They didn't blow me away by any standard, but I enjoyed them. They were really enjoyable movies, and I wasn't whelmed. Those movies for me were, I could watch them again and enjoy them, but I'm not going to go out and beat on people's doors like I did with like Old Boy. So for me, it's a 4. It's enjoyable. Anybody out there, definitely give it a watch. You will not be disappointed. Maybe go into it with more of a, I'm going to watch a cool Mission Impossible, Bourne like movie that'll probably give you a bit of a better mindset going into it, and then you just wouldn't be disappointed because it's that solid. And like we were saying, those action scenes, some of them are just wow.
Yeah, no, very cool.
And lots of hot girls in those Black Widow-like pants with very Scarlett Johansson, that bum of hers still. Every time she's in those pants and you get this back view, I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm watching this movie.